So I had a wonderful conversation with somebody yesterday, and we were talking about the ninth step promises, and it just popped out about we will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. And from there stemmed a really interesting conversation on digging deeper into this particular promise. Because when we see it, we look at it like, I'm no longer seeking, self gratification as my goal, and self pleasure of drugs and alcohol to take away pains that I'm running from, um, is something else. And it began with we have a late night meeting at the meeting house that starts at 10, and traditionally meetings last an hour, but on the late night meetings like this, there's nothing else following it. Nobody else is doing anything. And really, if you're there at Friday or Saturday night that late at night, you probably really need to be there. And so we've always gone into overtime. It's never been an issue. In fact, it's kind of, even though it's not written, it's understood that if you're there, you share. And, and there's not that many people, so it's never been an inconvenience. And somebody pressured and said, well, look, you can't, force people to share if they don't want to. It's like, look, if all they say is their name, hi, my name is such and such, I'm an alcoholic and addict, you shared. All I want to do is listen today. And that's okay. We don't have a problem with that. It's just acknowledging that you're there. And, but nobody's ever done that. Everybody's always talked. And, but at the group conscience, when they were voting on this, and somebody was having a stake about it, they began by saying, I've never attended this meeting ever, and I never plan to. And then it was but I'm still going to want to exert control over this, and therefore 11 o'clock is cutoff time, and there's a problem. And because you're not following the rules. I love it when they say we have rules in AA. And, and the general consensus was, well, if you don't go, well, how does it even affect you, right? And from that, it stemmed into, it's the epitome of being selfish, right? To have that desire to want to exert control over something that you have absolutely nothing to do with and never will, but I still want to make sure that you guys do what you're supposed to. And so I just made the offhanded comment, well, I don't care, about what this person says. So essentially, I've lost interest in selfish things. She is a selfish thing. And, and of course, there was laughter to be had with that, of course. And, but then I took it a step further, is that we had a member in the program who killed herself, shot herself in the head. And the last time she had attended a meeting was about 2 years ago. And, I talked to her, I knew who she was, and, but she couldn't or wouldn't get it. And, and most people, when, there's a suicide involved, the general consensus is, how could they be so selfish? And, if that were the case, I wouldn't be interested, but I am interested. I want to know more. And, and then I started thinking that, maybe it wasn't selfish at all. Maybe that was probably the most selfless act that she could perform, because, for people like me, and a lot of people did know her, even though it was 2 years ago, there's a lot of people who've been around a while, it is a very strong reminder, what happens when, we deviate from what seems to be working for a lot of people, which has worked for me, and, I'm no stranger to negative thoughts that borderline on suicidal thoughts. I've shared about that numerous times. In fact, my first suicide attempt, I was 8 years old. It's my oldest addiction is looking for that escape that Bill talks about in his story. 3 days ago, my daughter died, and she was 31, and she died of cardiac arrest. She is a self-proclaimed one of us, but for for reasons unknown, I mean, I've got speculations and such. She was not allowed to be a part of AA and work the program, and I'm the only person that they knew that had any experience with this, and they made sure to shut me out and keep me in the dark on everything. A couple weeks ago, I even messaged, "Hey, something's not right. I haven't heard from her in a while, and I just had this feeling that something wasn't right." And they, "Oh no, she's fine, she's fine." And I was like, "Well, okay, I mean, just something inside me is saying something's not right." And you know, she died 2 weeks later. So call that what you want. But when it comes to being, staying away from selfish things, I noticed that my circle up at AA has gotten smaller, and I'm highly involved with the people's lives that I do have contact with. I talk to them daily. I look forward to seeing them. There's other people that, one guy said, that he got rid of his ego before he even got into AA. And that's what helped him get through, is that he came in with no ego. And it's like, universally, we all agree. You can't get more ego than this guy. But then I started thinking about that, and it's like, well, maybe on his level, he had more ego than what he thought. And while he thinks that, he came in to AA with no ego, he may actually believe that. We see it as something else, but now I'm looking at the level of it. To him, it may be a drastic difference than what he had. So to him, yeah, I mean, I'm ego free because, because of what I've experienced. We just see it differently. It's a perspective thing. And, to me, in my eyes, I see him as being jam-packed full of ego, right? And I've lost interest in selfish things. And so I really don't communicate with this guy at all. I leave him alone. I don't wish him any harm or anything, but, I also don't need that kind of bullshit in my life. And we gain interest in our fellows. Well, who's my fellows? Like-minded people like me. I'm broken. I've been broken for as far back as I can remember. And I'm doing everything I can daily to heal, to fix that stuff, to come to grips with it. Not to forgive anybody, because, forgiveness is a bunch of bullshit. It's accepting people as who they are. And, learning how to accept myself for who I am. That's where I'm finding the most satisfaction. And when I see people, to be honest with you, I would, if I knew somebody who was at their core the biggest asshole, right? Genuinely, that's just who they are. I'd want to be their friend because they're being honest and authentic with themselves. I try to circle myself around with people that have no fear of being honest and authentic. When we come into AA, we don't know who the hell we are, because we've been hiding from everything for so long that when we're now put in the position of, what can I do? It's like, I don't know. I mean, and they have no idea what they like because everything's centered around drinking. Where do you like to eat? Man, I don't know. I mean, I always went to these places because they had happy hour. Well, where do you like to go? Well, I mean, I'd go on vacations, but they were always all inclusive. Well, what do you like to do for fun? Man, I don't know. I mean, every time I went fishing, I would just get drunk. Maybe catch fish, but I was always drunk. And so nobody knows who the hell they are when they first come in. And that's totally realistic. And they get to learn. They get to start from scratch and build themselves however they want. And, and it's people like that I want in my life. Those are the fellows. Those are the people that I've gained interest in. People that want to sit there and just cover up their BS with more BS, or, that have fear of being authentic, that's selfish. I've lost interest in selfish things. But I still like my dog.